Hey friend, how are you? Welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to be talking about what to talk about with a life coach. Like they're super popular now. Everybody wants a life coach. Everybody's got a life coach. Everybody should have a life coach. And I'm going to tell you what you would even discuss if you hired a life coach. So I am a life coach. And if you don't know much about one, this is essentially the concept. I help you manage your mind, okay? So we have thoughts running through our heads all day long, even at night sometimes when we don't want them, we'd rather be sleeping. And so managing those thoughts can literally change our lives. Okay, so let's say you're struggling with some things and you think maybe it's time to hire a life coach. What would I discuss? What am I supposed to share? What should I not share? What should I expect? What does it look like? Is it like therapy? All the questions. I got you. All right, so first of all, let me just say that life coaching has changed so many aspects of my life. So many of the positive changes I've seen over the past few years have come directly from learning to manage my mind through the help of a coach. So you can literally talk to a coach about anything you want. Some of the most common topics that I hear from my clients are relationships, right? Like marriages, maybe a tricky situation with a sister or a brother-in-law, a parent, a grandparent, a neighbor, a kid. There's lots of parenting coaching going on. You can talk about any kind of relationship. Maybe there's someone who drives you crazy. Maybe there's someone who you're not very kind to and you're trying to be better about that. Doesn't really matter what it is. We can talk about relationships all day long, right? Another thing we talk about a lot in life coaching is goal setting, right? So we are always trying to improve ourselves. That's just humanity. We want to be better. We want to grow. We want to learn. And so when we set goals for ourselves and then we go about attempting to meet these goals and we fall short, then all kinds of thoughts and emotions come up for us, right? So essentially, as humans, we all have a set of values, right? A specific way of living or of how we would like to live. And when our reality does not meet up to those values, that's when we start to feel some discomfort. We may feel shame or embarrassment, frustration, anger, any number of things. When other people don't measure up to our set of expectations either, we feel similar, right? Anger, frustration, resentment, whatever. Life coaching can help with all of these. It will basically just help you reconnect the thoughts to the feelings they are causing and help you change those feelings if you choose to do so. It's just gaining awareness. So that leads us into the 3 pillars of life coaching that I like to dive into when I talk to my clients. What you would be learning with me or any life coach is, first of all, the awareness of the thoughts in your head and what they're creating for you. So let me give you an example. Let's say that it's Valentine's Day. It was just recently Valentine's Day, right? It's Valentine's Day, and in your mind, a husband should always bring flowers and chocolates home to his wife on Valentine's Day. Surprise, surprise, your husband comes home without flowers, without chocolate. What is your brain saying? It's probably telling you the story, right? Like, why did I marry this jerk? Or maybe, gosh, I should have been a little bit clearer on what I wanted. Why does he never understand? Why does he keep showing up in a way that I don't love? Or this guy's a jerk. Whatever story your head is coming up with, it's likely causing you some pain in some way or another. It's causing you some frustration, some negative emotion, right? And then you show up probably not as the wife that you would like to be. You're probably a little snippy, a little frustrated, and that comes out in your actions, right? And so all this can be attributed to the thought that something has gone wrong, when really maybe he just forgot it was Valentine's Day. Or maybe he really did think about it and choose not to do those things. But regardless, your thought is what's causing you these problems, right? So just acknowledging and being aware that our thoughts are driving all of our actions and our intentions is huge, so powerful. Okay, the second pillar of coaching that we talk about a lot is the acceptance. So usually what happens with clients is I will help them be aware of what's going on in their brain, and then the very next step is they want to change it immediately because they don't like the result they're creating, right? But I always try to get them to slow down just a little bit, because the first step in actually changing your results is accepting the results you have right now. Now, why is that important? Because if we're in a hurry or in a rush to change things, we often don't fully understand why we're thinking the way we are right now. Just ignore the loud children. That's how it is at this house. So accepting the way you're thinking and the results you're creating right now is really, really powerful. In fact, very often, I don't help my clients create new thoughts for themselves at all. They do that themselves once they understand the reasoning. So let's go back to our example about Valentine's Day. I might become aware that my thought, he's such a jerk, is causing me to show up in a way that I don't love as a wife. But if I really were to understand and dig deep, I might realize that actually thinking that he's a jerk is playing into this larger story I've been telling myself about how he's insensitive and he doesn't care about what I want. that might strike a chord, right? All of a sudden we're realizing this is about more than just Valentine's Day. There's something deeper here that I need to acknowledge. Maybe it's about my husband, maybe it's about me, right? So accepting that your thoughts are the way they are and they're creating your results is really, really huge. And that will help us lean into this third pillar, which is accountability. Let me first say that you might spend a different amount of time on each of these pillars in a coaching session, depending on the situation that you're being coached on. For example, if it's kind of a more lighthearted thing that doesn't have a lot of really deep emotions in it, it might be quicker to get to awareness and accountability. If it's something that's a little bit deeper, like a relationship you really care about or something that's been going on for a long period of time, it may take longer to get to the accountability phase. But eventually this is where we want to show up. And this is where we get the real power to create the life we want, because when we acknowledge that we are accountable for the thoughts, feelings, and actions that we are, feeling and putting out into the world, then we can really create whatever we want with our lives. So I will say that the accountability section is one area where a coach really does differ a little bit from a licensed therapist or other mental health professionals. And the reason is, it's not our job as coaches to sit and empathize with your feelings, because what that is doing is it is teaching you that the story you're telling yourself is true, when it may or may not be, and it may or may not be serving you. So instead we push back a little bit and we say, okay, you can see how you're creating this result yourself, right? Once you take responsibility for that, then you can also take responsibility for any changes you want to make. And it becomes completely within your control to create the life that you want, right? Back to the Valentine's Day example. Your husband does not bring home chocolates and flowers. You think he's a jerk. You show up, or you feel frustrated and angry. You show up as a frustrated, angry wife. Maybe you're slamming doors, whatever. And the result is that you're being kind of a jerk, right? So instead, we can take accountability and think, how do I want to show up when my husband doesn't have flowers and chocolates like I wish he would? Gosh, maybe I could think, I can buy myself chocolates. What do I want this Valentine's Day, right? We take accountability for our own emotions and we show up for ourselves and we create joy for ourselves instead of relying on other people to do it for us. It's pretty cool. So in short, you can talk to a life coach about anything you want. And a good life coach will also be a good leader who sits and listens, but does not let you continue to tell these stories to yourself. That is relinquishing your own power. They will help you take control of your life and create the results that you want. Now, I know some of us might be thinking, but don't I just have a best friend for that? Isn't that what my mom is for, where I just call her and tell her all my problems and she fixes them? The difference between a friend and a life coach is huge. A friend shows up to validate that story you're telling yourself. Yeah, your husband is kind of a jerk. Mine does the same thing. I hate that. They never listen, blah, blah, blah. But do you see how that doesn't change anything? Do you see that how that just lets you stay and stew in those feelings of frustration and anger towards your husband? When you take accountability for your thoughts and feelings, then you're able to change them and get to a place where you are feeling the feelings that you want to intentionally, right? That's what a coach does for you, right? It's a little bit different. It's a little bit harder, let's be honest, than just venting to your best friend. But when you're ready for that change, come hire a life coach and just watch what happens. It's like magic. All right, friend, I hope you love this video. If you want to schedule a complimentary life coaching session with me, you can at any time. I always include the link in the description. But if you just want to learn more about life coaching, click the link below to my blog. You can read lots of articles there. You can listen to my podcast. You can come visit me on Instagram. Any number of ways to learn more about this amazing work. I hope that it helps you feel more intentional and like living your life on purpose. We'll see you next week.